Imagine this scenario. You've had a long day, maybe coding, maybe something else, and you finally get home, open the fridge, and it's just completely bare.
Oh, the worst feeling.
Right. And you're craving, say, a 6-pack of beer, maybe some snacks, but honestly, the idea of actually going out, agony.
In there, definitely.
Well, from that really mundane, almost universal moment of frustration, a spark ignites.
Okay.
And it doesn't just solve that personal annoyance, it ends up quietly transforming how America shops.
Wow.
We're diving into the mind behind this, Apoorva Mehta, the founder of Instacart. But what makes his story really extraordinary, I think, isn't just the $1.3 billion empire he built.
Which is already pretty extraordinary.
It is. But it's that this success only came after he'd experienced 20 failed startups.
20
attempts that just went nowhere.
That's incredible persistence.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Today, our deep dive is all about Apoorva Mehta's journey and the really surprising creation of Instacart. And like you said, this isn't just another tech success story. It feels more like maybe a masterclass.
I think that's a great way to put it. A masterclass in maybe long-term thinking, quiet power.
Yeah, and the art of building something the world didn't even know it needed.
Until it absolutely did, until it couldn't live without it.
Exactly. So our mission here for you listening is to sort of pull out the really profound, sometimes counterintuitive insights from his approach, looking, beyond the surface stuff to see what really drove his success and maybe how you can apply some of these ideas in your own life or work.
It's so compelling, isn't it? Because like you said, it's anything but that typical overnight success story we hear so often.
Right.
It's really a testament to, incredible resilience, like we mentioned, but also maybe a radical rethinking of what failure even means.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And just a very different way of looking at, business innovation, personal growth.
Yeah.
The whole package.
So what are we going to explore specifically?
Well, throughout our conversation, we'll definitely get into his revolutionary asset-light financial model. That's key.
Okay.
His unique take on embracing all those failures, how he found clarity, amidst the chaos.
Concentrate, yeah.
That too. And his philosophy of building from really personal pain points.
The empty fridge moment.
Exactly. Even his unconventional way of persuasion, the beer story.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
And finally, his long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Knowing when to actually step away from this huge thing he built.
Which is fascinating in itself.
Totally. So whether you're, building a career, working on a product, or just trying to figure things out in this noisy world, these insights, I think, offer a different lens, a way to look at your own challenges, your aha moments, maybe find some new opportunities for growth.
It makes you wonder, right?
Yeah. What if the things we usually try so hard to avoid, failing repeatedly or even just stopping, being still?
Yeah.
What if those are actually the secret ingredients to, huge, quiet success?
That's a really powerful question to start with. And when you look at how Instacart was actually built, it really does start with that distinctive financial model you mentioned.
Absolutely core.
Because most founders, especially early on, they're chasing revenue, flashy user numbers, right?
The usual metrics.
But Apoorva Mehta took such a radically different path. So what was this core financial innovation? How did it let Instacart not just, survive, but really thrive? Especially in grocery delivery, which is just notorious for tight margins and huge costs.
You've absolutely nailed the core issue there. See, Instacart wasn't really designed to sell groceries in the way we normally think about it.
Okay, how so?
It was built to connect. It was about stitching together this kind of seamless, almost invisible system.
Invisible infrastructure.
Exactly. A system that let others, the local grocery stores, the independent shoppers, the busy customers, all benefit from grocery delivery without Instacart itself having to own a single store or a warehouse or even a delivery truck.
Which is huge.
It was a massive departure from earlier attempts, remember Webvan?
Oh yeah, the .com flameout, huge infrastructure costs.
Precisely. They collapsed under the weight of all that physical stuff. Mehta wasn't just being lean. He was actively learning from history's very expensive mistakes.
Okay, so I think I'm getting this. Back in 2012, he codes the first version super fast, 3 weeks.
Yeah, incredibly quick.
And right then, he makes this crucial call. Stay asset light. But groceries, I mean, even now, it's a capital-heavy business.
Definitely.
So how did he actually convince these, often pretty established grocery chains to buy into this new invisible infrastructure idea, especially when it meant changing how they operated and, let's be honest, giving a startup a cut?
Well, that's where the genius, or maybe the pragmatism, comes in. He didn't start by asking for big partnerships or permission slips.
Okay.
He started by just showing the value. He built the platform connecting existing local stores with customers wanting delivery. And suddenly, those stores saw immediate extra sales without them needing to invest a penny in websites or delivery logistics.
So Instacart becomes this tech layer.
Exactly. Linking the stores, the shoppers who are independent contractors, and the consumers, they scaled with minimal overhead. No inventory, no big warehouses, no traditional employee costs for the delivery fleet.
And they just took a cut of each transaction.
Yep. Pushing the operational risk and costs onto others, essentially. It's kind of like the marketplace model of, say, Amazon or Uber's model for rides.
But for groceries.
Right. Applied to a sector that was, back then, one of the least digitized parts of the U.S. economy.
That is just a masterclass in financial leverage. I mean, fast forward to 2023, Instacart's powering delivery from, over 100,000 stores?
Massive scale.
Facilitating over $100 billion in transactions. And every single apple, every carton of milk moves through this system he didn't technically own, but kind of quietly controlled. He didn't try to beat the grocers. He made himself indispensable to them.
Yeah.
It's such a clear lesson, isn't it? Sometimes the smartest way to make money isn't directly, but by building the rails everyone else needs to ride on.
The infrastructure K.
Yeah. But what's even more mind-blowing, perhaps, is the road he took to even get to that point.
Those 20 failures.
Exactly. Before Instacart was a name everyone knew, Mehta had this reputation, one he seemed to wear with honor, but I imagine it left scars too.
You'd have to think so.
This long history of attempts, 20 different startups between 2010 and 2012, every single one failed.
Wow.
Some died in weeks. Others never even got past the idea phase, like a network for lawyers, another shot at food delivery.
Things that sound plausible, maybe?
Yeah, but none got traction. No users, no money, no product market fit, nothing.
This really brings up a big question about how we usually think about failure.
How so?
Well, most people, you included maybe, would probably quit after one or two big setbacks, right?
Yeah, probably.
But Apoorva Mehta's story, it kind of shows that the winners in the long run, they aren't the ones who somehow magically avoid failure.
Okay.
They're the ones who build systems to learn from it faster than anyone else. His failures weren't just dead ends. He treated them like signal.
Signal, I like that.
Yeah. He apparently journaled, he deconstructed every single launch. What went wrong? Why didn't people care? What was his part in it?
Taking responsibility.
Right. If you treat failures like feedback, not final verdicts, you could eventually just outlearn everyone.
That's a really profound way to reframe failure, treating it as signal. But practically speaking, how do you tell the difference between a signal that says, okay, pivot slightly, and a signal that says, look, this whole idea is just wrong?
That's the tricky part, isn't it?
Yeah, seems like a very fine, probably painful line to walk. How did he keep that objectivity through 20 tries?
Well, I think that's the critical nuance. He wasn't just, blindly throwing darts again and again.
Right.
Each failure sharpened his instincts. He learned how to ship product super fast, how to validate ideas even faster, and how to pivot instantly if needed.
So he was building skills even as the ventures failed.
Exactly. So when the right idea finally clicked that grocery moment, he was ready, not just technically ready to code it, but ready with absolute clarity. He said something once like, most people think success is about finding the right idea. It's not. It's about surviving long enough to recognize it when it finally shows up.
Wow. Survive long enough to recognize it.
Yeah. He built this internal system of rapid iteration and really brutal self-assignment, not just for the product, but for himself as the founder.
And speaking of clarity, by the time he'd launched and, buried his 15th failed startup, a lot of his peers, they'd probably landed stable jobs or were just totally burned out.
Understandably.
But instead of just jumping into the next build cycle or obsessing over product market fit again, he did something really unexpected.
What was that?
He went silent. Literally. He signed up for a 10-day Vipassana retreat. No talking, no tech, no books, nothing. Just meditation and observation. 10 days of pure silence.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah.
Especially for a startup founder type.
Right. But what's really compelling here, I think, is that this wasn't just about, stress relief or wellness, although I'm sure that helped.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was more like a complete mental OS upgrade.
An OS upgrade. How so?
Well, think about it. Most founders run on urgency, anxiety, constant noise.
Definitely. Firefighting mode.
Mehta started to run on clarity. And clarity in a world that rewards speed and chaos, that's a superpower.
That's a really interesting take. Clarity as a weapon.
Yeah, he basically trained himself to stop, sit, detach from all those dopamine hits of checking email or metrics, and just think from first principles.
So it wasn't just clearing his head, it was actively training his mind to see things differently.
Exactly. Which must have seemed like a total waste of time to outsiders, right? Especially for someone so driven to build.
For sure. People would be like, what are you doing meditating? Go build something.
But how did that stillness actually practically lead to the Instacart idea? Did the grocery insight come during the silence?
Well, the story goes it was in that quiet, detached space
Yeah.
that he stopped chasing external ideas and started really listening.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to what actually mattered to him,
Oh, okay.
what caused him personal pain, what he genuinely wanted to solve. And it was after one of these retreats, apparently, that he started noticing the little frictions in daily life more acutely.
Because his mind wasn't cluttered?
Precisely. Just how annoying it was to buy groceries. Not just for him, but sensing that millions felt the same. And crucially, he started thinking, okay, what's the simplest possible version of a solution I could test right now?
Mm-hmm.
And Instacart's early design reflected that discipline. Brutally simple. One core function, one action.
Get groceries delivered, yeah.
He apparently observed, clarity only comes from stillness. If you can't hear yourself think, you'll never hear your customers either.
That's powerful. Sometimes the fastest way forward is to be still long enough to actually know where you're going.
Exactly.
And the thing he decided to build, Instacart, wasn't what the market was buzzing about then.
Not at all.
If you'd asked VCs in 2012, what's the next big thing? Very few would have said grocery delivery.
Right. It was seen as messy, low margin.
Mm-hmm.
The ghost of web vans still lingered. Investors didn't think groceries were sexy.
But Mehta didn't ask them. He wasn't chasing trends. He was just solving his own annoyance.
And this points to a really core product philosophy, I think. Don't build what sounds impressive. Build what quietly matters.
Mm-hmm.
So many entrepreneurs fall into that trap, right? Building for investors, building for applause at demo day.
Yeah, the vanity metrics.
But applause fades. Deep recurring pain points, they don't. Mehta got that if a product fixes a real recurring pain, people will pay for it. You won't need to convince them so hard.
So that initial idea, sparked by the empty fridge,
Came straight from his own life. Instead of writing a pitch deck or doing market research, he just spent 3 weeks coding. He launched the first version of Instacart, basically for himself.
he used it to get his own groceries.
Yes.
So his laziness, as he sometimes called it, wasn't a flaw at all. It was actually a deep kind of attention to his own experience.
Absolutely.
And that unlocked this billion-dollar insight. Maybe the world's biggest problems are hiding in your smallest daily frustrations.
It's often true.
You don't need some grand vision to start. You just need to scratch an itch that won't go away and do it so well that other people ask you to scratch theirs too.
Perfectly put.
Okay, so now he has this product. It works. He's using it. But the next hurdle is persuasion, right? Getting others on board.
Yep.
By mid-2012, he's coded Instacart V1. It delivers groceries. But he hits a snag. He missed the application deadline for Y Combinator.
Ah, the legendary YC. Missing that deadline is usually game over for hopefuls.
For most, yeah, that would be it. But not for Mehta.
So what did he do?
Beg.
Plead.
Nope. Instead of a cold email or trying to pull strings, he decided to do the one thing only Instacart could do.
Which was?
Deliver.
Deliver what?
Literally. He opened his own app, ordered a 6-pack of beer, and had it sent directly to one of the Y Combinator partners.
No way.
Yep. With just a simple note, something like, "This beer was delivered using the app I built. If that's interesting, I'd love to talk."
It's brilliant.
No pitch deck, no slides, no long resume, just the product in action, delivering beer.
And did it work?
It absolutely did. That single kind of cheeky move got him a call back. He was accepted into YC's summer 2012 batch.
I mean, who needs a fancy PowerPoint when you've got product market fit demonstrated by a cold 6-pack showing up in your door?
Exactly. But it's more than just clever marketing, right? It really speaks to a powerful mindset.
How so?
That the best way to persuade people often isn't just telling them what you do.
It's showing them.
Yeah, showing them what happens when you do it. In a world totally overloaded with noise and claims, the clearest signal is just evidence. Proof.
That's so true. Mehta didn't ask them to believe him. He made belief almost inevitable.
Right.
All he had to do was get the product or the result of the product into their hands and let the value speak for itself.
It takes confidence, though.
It does. That kind of persuasion needs two things, like radical confidence in what you've actually built and a deep understanding of what actually matters to the person you're trying to reach. It's not about manipulation. It's more like alignment, empathy combined with execution.
Showing, not just telling.
Exactly. As Mehta apparently reflected later, if you want someone's attention, show, don't tell. And that lesson applies everywhere, doesn't it?
Totally. Pitching investors, selling a product, even just trying to get your point across in a meeting.
Yeah. Don't just drown people in words. Show them the clarity. Let your actions make the case before you even open your mouth. Because, trust isn't just given. It has to be experienced.
Okay, so we've seen this incredible journey of building Instacart. The failures, the clarity, the clever moves. But what's really distinctive, I think, about his long-term vision is what happened after Instacart became this huge powerhouse.
The exit.
Yeah, a decision most founders would probably never make. In business, people cling tightly to what they've built, right? Especially when it finally works.
Oh, absolutely. It becomes their identity, their baby.
But Apoorva Mehta seemed to be playing a different game entirely. After building Instacart into this national giant, leading it for nearly a decade, guiding it through the pandemic, which just supercharged demand.
Yeah, when it was arguably at its peak relevance.
He walked away.
It's a fascinating move.
Yeah.
Because, real builders, maybe they don't just stay to sit on the throne they built.
What do?
Maybe they leave when the system is working so they can go start building something else, maybe something even bigger.
So walk us through the timeline.
Okay, so in July 2021, Mehta steps down as CEO.
Meh.
Still involved, but not day-to-day.
Right.
Then 2 years later, just as Instacart is gearing up for its big IPO in September 2023.
The moment everyone was waiting for.
He makes it official. He's leaving the company entirely, giving up his board seat, everything.
Wow. And this wasn't because of scandal or burnout or pressure.
No. By all accounts, Instacart was thriving. His personal stake was worth, $1.3 billion around the IPO?
Right.
He could have stayed indefinitely.
But he chose not to.
He chose not to.
That's a level of detachment most leaders, I think, really struggle with, especially when their identity is so wrapped up in their creation. What does that strategic exit tell us about his philosophy?
I think it reveals a really crucial long-term mindset that separates maybe the good entrepreneurs from the truly iconic ones.
Which is?
Knowing when to let go, not because something's failing, but maybe because it no longer requires you specifically to thrive.
He didn't see Instacart as his identity.
It seems he treated it more like a vehicle or a system he designed, a system designed to eventually run without him.
And once it could.
He stepped aside, made room for professional operators, maybe new visionaries to take it forward. Now, of course, having immense personal wealth makes that kind of move easier.
Sure, the $1.3 billion helps.
Definitely helps, but I think it's more than just financial freedom. It feels like discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah, the discipline to recognize that your own energy is finite, and maybe your highest value isn't in managing something established, but in imagining the next thing.
And he did start something new, right?
He did. Shortly after leaving, he launched Cloud Health Systems, some kind of stealth healthcare venture, raised $30 million in seed funding before anyone even really knew what it did.
Back to building?
Back to building. He said after his exit something like, it was the hardest goodbye, but the most necessary one.
Wow.
That kind of exit, it takes a level of clarity most leaders maybe never reach because they confuse being present with having power.
But real power.
Real power might come from creating something that works without you and then having the courage to walk away while it's still winning.
So bringing this all together, Apoorva Mehta's story, it really isn't just about the $1.3 billion number, is it?
Not at all.
It's about how quietly, how personally, and how deliberately that number came about.
Yeah, the process.
It wasn't built from one magic idea, but from, 20 pretty brutal attempts, each one treated like a lesson.
Learning loops.
It was forged in that silence after those 10 days without speaking, finding real clarity.
The OS upgrade.
It came from just a simple, annoying personal frustration, the empty fridge.
Yeah.
It wasn't launched with hype or fancy pitches, but literally with a six-pack of beer and a product that just worked.
Show, don't tell.
And then finally, when it was a household name, a billion-dollar company, He showed that true long-term vision by stepping away from the winning game.
Knowing when to fold them, even with a royal flush.
Exactly. So ultimately, this isn't really just about groceries, is it? It feels bigger.
Much bigger. It's about infrastructure thinking, like you said earlier.
Yeah. It's about choosing clarity over just raw speed, turning personal annoyance into public value. And maybe most of all, knowing when the game you're currently winning isn't the one you need to be playing anymore.
Yeah. And I think this whole journey, it points to a kind of quiet truth for everyone listening.
Yeah.
That the next big thing,
Yeah.
it isn't necessarily out there somewhere in the market waiting for a big research team to find it.
Where is it then?
It's probably already in your life right now.
Explain that.
It's that small nagging frustration, that lingering annoyance, that empty fridge moment. Maybe not literally, but metaphorically, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
That thing that's kind of whispering to you, waiting for you to just notice its potential. It's the problem you can't stop thinking about, the itch you just can't seem to scratch.
So pay attention to the annoyances.
Pay attention to the annoyances. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've maybe failed more times than you like to admit, if you're staring at your own metaphorical empty pantry of ideas right now, just know you're definitely not alone. And you're certainly not finished. Apoorva Mehta failed 20 times.
20 times.
And yet he turned one quiet frustration into this billion-dollar shift in how a whole nation lives and eats and shops.
That's incredible perspective.
So you might not build the next Instacart, but maybe, just maybe, you'll build something else the world didn't know it needed.
So the question for everyone is,
what is that problem you can't stop thinking about? That annoyance that keeps popping up? That could be where your own maybe billion-dollar, maybe just deeply satisfying story begins.